We have two lovely women here today. They're gonna help us get into the minds of, I guess, men.
The lab was born.
We should talk pics. His erect springs out of his pants.
Oh, man.
It would have gone boing.
Like a peacock, like with its feathers.
Precisely.
Who cares about size? It's men. Circumcised, uncircumcised, small, big. What do you mean shrivels?
It's crazy to me that they don't understand this.
Yeah.
Any other like orgasms?
Yeah, here's one. So, you know.
The way I know you have a million.
The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Pretty basic.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretty Basic. I am your co-host, Alisha Marie.
And I'm your co-host, Remy Parsons.
And I have to say, I am so unbelievably excited for this episode for you guys today. And it's not just because Remy and I could easily yap about, you know, dick pics, penis sizes, orgasms, all of those things.
How early on can we say that in the episode?
We'll get demonetized. It's fine. We shouldn't get demonetized though, because this is for educational purposes only.
Yes.
Or maybe personal reasons too. I don't know. We're really excited though, because we have two lovely women here today who are going to not only educate us, they're going to teach us, they're going to help us get into the minds of, I guess, men. And we have Dr. Cory Pedersen here.
Yay!
Round of applause. She is, get this, the founder of Orgasm Lab at KPU. You heard that right. Hi. What's most people's reactions when they hear that intro? That title.
That's the reaction. Yeah. The face. The big face. The
big face.
the
O face.
The O
So-
face. Oh my God, I love this. We also have Amanda Champion here, who is top researcher. So y'all work hand in hand.
We do.
We do. Very closely for how many years?
Since 2011?
2011.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a
it's been a long
Oh
time.
my God.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I feel like it's never a dull day in the lab, right?
It's never a
Never.
never. No,
Never.
Please give us a quick little backstory, how you got into this, what made you want to even start researching everything that feels taboo but shouldn't be.
Yes, that's great. So I'm a university professor at Kwantlen University in Vancouver, Canada. And I teach human sexuality, the psychology of gender, those types of courses. And way back in 2011, Amanda was a student in my class.
I love that.
I know, isn't that incredible?
That's
and
so cool.
It's so great. And we were talking. She was in human sexuality. I was teaching human sexuality, and some questions came up about some human sexuality concepts or content or whatever. And I was like, well, that's a great question. We need more research on that, yada, yada. And then Amanda and a few others in the lab said, well, why don't we research that? Wow. And I was sort of taken aback. And I said, well, I need a lab. And they said, why don't you just start a lab? And so the Orgasm Lab was born from the students themselves who wanted to do this research. And there was, 5 initial lab members. I will tell you a little fun fact. Yeah. Orgasm is an acronym.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it really is. It stands, doesn't stand for orgasm. It stands for Observations and Research in Gender and Sexuality Matters.
Stop right now.
I love that it worked out though.
And me and my best friend, Michelle Dean at the time, now Michelle McBain, she's married, came up with what the acronym would be one night after a few glasses of wine, because we were trying to initiate some creativity. And then Cory ended up loving it, and we were so excited.
That's so perfect. Okay, so you picked orgasm, and then we're like, let's fill in the blanks from here.
That's right.
So cool.
Isn't that smart? And
That's
so we
amazing.
we go by OLAB,
Okay.
a lot
short.
these days for short. But that is the acronym. A lot of people think what we study is orgasms, but we don't. We do observations and research in gender and sexuality.
Observations. Do
Very
you have
cool.
like a... Like, are
We
you just
observed?
watching people? Like, how do you go about?
To redo the Kinsey.
The original
We would
Kinsey
love
studies.
to, but it's so much, you need so much funding for those types of labs.
So our observations are more empirical. So,
Empirical,
with
yeah.
survey questions and inquiries of that
That has
nature.
to be really cool to be a part of something like that's such a turning point, even like for that to be made not only with your students. It just shows how amazing of a teacher you are, but then also to be a part of like, wow, this isn't available for us. Let's make that happen. Like, I feel like that's so empowering.
Yes. And
absolutely.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because the students are the ones who really benefited from the generation of this lab and the work that we do. Kwantlen is a educational institution that focuses on teaching. It's a teaching-focused institution, not a research-focused institution. So the research that my lab members and I do is not funded. I do that research just off the side of my desk, and I do it for the knowledge and the education for myself, that I love to know things, but also for the students. They get an opportunity to learn how to do research. It builds up their CVs, their applications to graduate school. We've had immense success with many members of our labs having come and gone on to graduate school, like Amanda herself.
Yeah. I was going to ask, how did you end up in Cory's courses to begin with? Was it something that you had a general interest in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I knew that I wanted to go to graduate school. And so that was a part of the process, the undergrad process. And she always had such glowing reviews for this human sexuality class, 30-10. I remember the number.
Wow. She had 5 stars on Rate My Professor.
Oh, absolutely. And at that point, we could put flames.
Oh my God. I remember
the hot flame, or the chili. Sorry, it wasn't flame. It was a chili. It was a chili. Okay, so I gave her a couple chili. No, always glowing reviews, and you just had this like spark and magnetism. You could tell that you really enjoyed the content, and I was like, that's exactly what I love about psychology, one of the many things, but the research aspect was so phenomenal. And to be able to get like a few publications on my CV, getting into grad school, like I was a shoe-in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So those experiences, and now I work with Cory at Kwantlen. So I'm at this point where I keep pinching myself. Like, is this real?
Yeah, it's come full circle for her. So she graduated from our institution, went to grad school, and now comes back, and now she's a professor.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Isn't it great?
How is it dealing with topics that essentially are usually taboo? I think especially with Gen Z, it's been a lot better, and like we've made so much progress, especially with what you guys are doing. But I mean, we grew up in like the 90s, especially I'm 30, like purity culture, like the whole, like you don't talk about sex to anyone, but yet you're supposed to know exactly what to do and how to be safe. Like how, I mean, obviously that's really exciting to be a part of that conversation, but what would you say is one of like the main things that isn't taboo about sex and everything about that?
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I developed the course in the first place. We didn't used to have a human sexuality course, and I introduced it in, I think it was 2007, 2008. It was overwhelmingly successful. People want to know. People want to be educated. So you're right, even though there's a taboo around many topics, the truth is people want to know, right? We're not supposed to talk about it, but everybody wants to know what there is to know. And the class is overwhelmingly successful for that reason. And nothing about human sexuality should be taboo. For most people, sex and sexuality is something that they either have or will experience in their lifetime. And you're absolutely right, Alisha. Nobody really knows anything about it until you learn, right? And people talk about it as though it's instinctual, but it's not. And you need to be educated. And so I cover so many topics in the course, everything from anatomy, which is woefully and shockingly undereducated. People don't know about anatomy, their own anatomy. It's shocking. All the way through to sexual orientation and gender identity, sexually explicit material like pornography, all of that is on the books. We've really taken a very unique approach. It's less unique today, but when we started doing our research, we did everything online.
Yeah.
Because research evidence does indicate that people are more likely to respond honestly when they think that when they know that their responses are anonymous.
So I'm sure you're all over Reddit.
So we started online and we've kept it online. And so there's complete anonymity to our survey questions, to the studies that we do. And so people can feel free to be honest. And and we remind them frequently in our surveys and in our questionnaires,
Because, I feel like you don't know what's normal, what's not normal. So obviously if some people are more kinky than others, so they're like Googling, like, is this normal? Am I weird? Like, I feel like that's a huge part. So it makes sense that online is like the main place to be, honestly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And sort of the underlying theme or current of my course and my lab is that everything's normal. I mean, what is abnormal anyway? You know, like
If we don't know what normal is, then how do we know what abnormal is?
so true. And
So
there's no acceptable or verified number of times people should be having sex or frequency or
Masturbation.
Yeah, I mean, there's no
Yeah.
verified number. This is normal. So there really isn't anything that's abnormal in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How are you guys finding the research groups themselves, and how do you reach out to people and kind of conduct all the research?
Well, we have a lab website. So we have our website where we post studies. I have some people that are subscribers to that, and I send them, notices when we have a study running. We use Reddit. We have an Instagram account. So it's just Orgasm Lab. So you can find us on Instagram, and we always post studies there when we're running studies. We have a Twitter account at Orgasm R Lab, and so we will hit up those different sites and make a call for participant recruitment.
I think for today we should talk about dick pics.
I feel like what's so interesting.
no way to do that
is
casually.
I literally got one like a week ago. I'm not kidding. And I knew you guys were coming on here, so I was just like, I can't wait for this conversation.
But here's the question: was it solicited or unsolicited?
Unsolicited. I go on my Instagram like message requests, and it's just like sometimes it'll be like just like viewers or people, like sometimes it'll like miss through the general DM. So I like click it and it says like preview photo. I go, oh,
And there it is.
And there it is.
Oh boy.
And then I was just like, I don't I'm sorry. You could never catch me. Like, to me, that's the most embarrassing thing ever, to just unsolicited, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I don't understand how people's brains work when they, like, what do they get out of that?
Well, we'll tell you.
Because to me, I'm like, you couldn't pay me. Like, that's so embarrassing.
I also have a question. Is that sexual harassment to send someone an unsolicited dick pic?
Well, okay, so there's mixed minds on this,
Yeah.
but the general idea now, the research literature, and the laws are now trending very much so in that direction.
That makes sense
It
to me,
feels like
though.
that.
Because if you're just, like, on the sidewalk and, like, something
in
a
a
guy just
Starbucks,
whipped it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you were on the sidewalk and it was
I've been in New York and this has
exhibitionism,
happened.
then that's exhibitionism, and that is against the law.
And obviously
considered.
this is unsolicited. Like, obviously
Unsolicited,
if you're
Consensual
consensual
is okay.
is fine.
Yeah.
And context matters too.
Yes.
So it could be unsolicited within a long-term partnership, but you have pre-established norms
for your
within that
relationship.
context. So it's like, sometimes,
gray.
Corey and I say, it depends.
Yeah.
It's not as,
It's cut and dry.
That's right.
But you're right. If it's airdropped to you at the Starbucks, that's a different.
That's scary.
That's a different game. Yeah, that's a different
trying
game.
to get my
right.
work done.
Yeah.
Just trying to drink my frappuccino.
Oh my God.
How did this particular study about dick pics come about?
All right, that's a great question. So I will preface that answer with letting you know that we did a previous study back in 2019.
Okay.
And that study was published in the Journal of Sex Research. It was very well received, publicly received quite well, and it was about motivations for dick pic sending. Now, the way that study was originated was through brainstorming with my lab. So as I mentioned earlier, I have this lab that's full of these students, right? And what we do is we sit around in these brainstorming sessions and discuss, what do we want to know about? And they're young. They're in their 20s, many of them, or mid to late 20s. And they have very different experiences than, say, I would have. And so the way I run my lab is I put the topics of interest in the hands of the research assistants. Unlike other labs, some other labs have topics of focus, and that everybody in the lab does the work on the topics of focus for that researcher. But for me, I say, as long as it's sex and gender related, anything goes.
Fill your boots.
Cool.
Fill your boots.
Yeah, that's so cool, though.
Bring me your idea. Let's run with it.
Yeah.
So at that time, a couple of lab members had received some dick pics, and they're like, what is up with this? Let's study this.
Like the psychology behind it.
What is going on? So we did some digging in the current research, what was done. There had been some stuff done, but no one had studied motivations behind the dick pic sending. Like, why are people sending dick pics, and what response or reaction are they hoping to receive? So that's the study that we did in 2019. We found a number of endorsements for motives, what kinds of reactions they wanted. We looked at the frequency, how often is this occurring? And that study was widely received. So fast forward to, 2025, I think it was just this year, and I received an email from Scott Jensen, who's the executive director of creative at Manscaped. And he reached out with an email and he said, hey, my name's Scott, and we read your study from 2019. We're really interested in it, and we were wondering if we could connect and, maybe discuss that research and if we could do some additional work with that. Well, I went, delete. Spam, right? I'm like, this is
for
spam.
context, as instructors, we get a lot of these spam emails daily.
Sure. Yeah.
So
And-
it's hard to filter sometimes.
Yeah. And as researchers too, we
that
get
too, yeah.
lots of spammy crap that comes into the lab's website,
Waste of your
email.
time.
Total waste of time.
right.
So I just went, delete. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to give you my credit card number, Scott. So, don't ask. So then another email comes, a voicemail.
You got your phone number.
And it transcribed to my email, and I went delete, and then a third. And at this point, I was about to hit delete, but I was with Amanda. We were at a conference, and I said, "Look, I got another one of these." And she
I'm
goes,
like, show me your email.
"Yeah." She says, "Let me
your
see
laptop.
this." And then she goes, "Whoa, pump the brakes. This could be legitimate. Why don't you reply?"
Yeah.
So I did. I replied back to Scott, and it was legitimate. And we ended up brainstorming with him and a number of members of his team, and they wanted to do some further research, so like a replication and an expansion of that original dick pic study, and that's what we did.
And what was interesting is that we had already had on the books, like, we need to do more with this.
Yeah.
But I
Just had no ideas generating around it, nothing percolating.
Also,
yeah.
it's so vague. Like, you could go any direction with it
Absolutely.
too. So I feel like that would be hard to know exactly where you want to go with such a broad subject. What was like one of the main things you found?
Okay, so there's a lot of things that we found. So in the original study, we had found that approximately slightly more than half of the participants, and by the way, I should preface this, all the participants were male. Okay, in our original study.
Okay.
And so we found that approximately slightly more than half reported that they had sent an unsolicited dick pic. And we asked, we were very specific, right?
Yeah.
We were like, have you sent an unsolicited? And we defined what we meant by unsolicited. We didn't want any confusion around that.
And
right.
what was the definition of unsolicited?
You sending a dick pic to someone who has not explicitly requested one.
Yes.
And so we got about a 51% endorsement of, yes, I have sent that. And then we asked why. And so we listed a number of potential motives. We looked at previous research for motives. We consulted with some guys that we knew, got a list going of motives. What are the reasons? And we found that the primary or predominant reason that men reported having sent unsolicited dick pics was what we termed as partner hunting. So,
Like a peacock, like with its feathers?
Precisely.
A mating call?
right? Like exactly that. Like,
What?
yeah, like partner hunting.
Viewing it as like a normal way of flirting.
Yeah.
Right? Was that in the partner hunting?
Yeah, that was
I'm
in
trying to-
partner hunting. Yeah. It was like, this is a normal way to flirt. And also to, the desire to try to get something back in return, right? So this sort of,
yes.
our original study was titled, "You Show Me Yours and I'll Show You Mine," right?
Yeah.
So it was this idea that if I send a picture, you'll send one back.
And I think we labeled that like transactional.
Transactional mindset.
Yeah.
It's a transactional mindset. And then the third most endorsed reason was sort of personal and sexual gratification. So I send pictures of my dick because I want to be validated. I want it to be positively,
Which
reinforced.
goes to like
and-
size and all that stuff too. 'Cause
Yeah.
obviously it's a visual.
Yeah. So in our follow-up study with Manscaped, the exact same motives were endorsed, right? In the same sort of order of frequency of endorsement.
And that was 6 years later, correct?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
that many years later. But the percentage of frequency dropped substantially.
Yeah.
Right, Amanda?
Yeah.
Like we were looking at, went from 51%
% of people who had sent an unsolicited dick pic down to 25%.
And sorry, what was the year gap?
6 years?
6 years. Yeah.
I mean, especially with social media becoming so much
More
more
common.
prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like that makes sense.
What was also interesting too is, we had those top 3 transactional
partner
hunting and gratification, like self-esteem aspects. But then we did see a bump up of the negative aspects
stuff. Yeah.
of misogyny and power and control as a potential reason. Like, I want to shock someone, or I want to have that element of power over them, show them something they don't want to see.
Yeah.
That statistic went up?
That went up.
Yeah, that
and
went up.
that's the group willingly saying that's why they did it.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I send these images because I don't like women and I want to express
incels.
my
Wow. They're growing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. So in our original study, endorsement of misogynistic reasons and things like that, power and control was quite low.
Interesting.
But in this study, it was a little higher.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
that
then
scares
also
me.
too, it's interesting to see that like 50% 6 years ago said they had sent an unsolicited, but now that percentage has dropped to a quarter.
Yeah.
But then the reasons are slightly the same. It's just this negative aspect that kind of went up.
Yeah.
But it's a lower proportion of people who are
overall.
sending them.
Yeah.
That
overall.
one doesn't make sense in my brain.
Yeah.
It's for some reason, I would think that with the misogyny, the idea of misogyny going up, it would go up also.
What I think it might be is that the 25% that are sticking to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? They're sticking to it despite current messaging,
Yeah.
despite changes in norms. They're sticking to it, and so they may have more nefarious reasons.
That's right.
And that's why they're doubling down.
Yeah.
And
Okay, that makes sense.
A piece of shit like that, would they want my reaction to be like, oh my God, or do they not even care if they get a reaction because that's just
That's the hope for. Take it away.
So we asked participants about this. What is your hoped for reaction?
Yeah.
And it's so sad, really, if you think about it, because the most strongly endorsed hoped for reactions were positive, if you will, right? They had a positive valence. So things like, I want the person to feel sexy. I want the person to feel valued.
Yeah.
Like those were the most strongly endorsed hoped for reactions.
Like still wrong, but they're at least intent.
The
with
intent
some
is
The intent,
good.
exactly.
Like to find a partner
It is
isn't
kinda
necessarily a
sad.
bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because sort of the takeaway of this is that for many men who send these unsolicited dick pics, their intentions are not necessarily bad, but their delivery is wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this is not how you let someone know that you want them to feel sexy and validated and attractive. So their intentions are not necessarily bad, discounting this small percentage of these misogynists. Fucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally.
But you're not doing it right. You're
That's
not going
right.
about that the right way. Because when we asked the recipients of dick pics, and that's what we did in this study, is in our original we only had men.
Yes.
But in this follow-up with Manscaped, we had men and women. So we were able to ask not just women, but all people who had received a dick pic. How did you feel about getting it? And what kind of response did you have? The response endorsement, like, this is what I want them to feel, was exactly the same. I want them to, as the original study, I want them to feel valued, and I want them to feel attractive, and I want them to feel turned on. But the recipients were going, that is not how I feel.
No.
That was the lowest endorsed frequency at the at the bottom.
At the very bottom.
Very bottom. So they were more likely to feel devalued or violated or unattractive,
disgusted.
And do you think half of that is also because I feel like, at least for me, especially, like, I feel like women can tend to like to think about things more than just like seeing, like I don't know what I'm trying to say right now, like
The fantasy of
the
it all.
fantasy of it all versus like just that, like, ew, like, oh my God, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And what was interesting too is that we also asked about, okay, we're going to get you to rank all of these body parts. So we asked everyone within our participant group, the one that we did with Manscaped, not the original study, exactly what would you kind of want to see?
Like, if a guy sent me a photo of his forearms, he'd get a much better reaction.
Okay, here we go.
Rank ordered body parts.
That's what we asked them.
Yeah.
We gave them a list of 11 potential body parts and said, rank order these in the order in which you would respond most positively. So
Face had to be first, right?
Number one, face.
That's so normal. Like, it's crazy to me that they don't understand this.
Yeah.
In fact, the face and features of the face, like the eyes and the mouth,
Yeah.
were 9 times more likely to generate a positive response than the genitals.
Yeah.
Yep.
9 times. And this, again, is both men and women that were asked, right?
That's right.
So people want to see the face.
Yeah.
That's sort of what we found from this follow-up study that we did.
So if you're gonna send anything unsolicited, start with the face
Just a
first.
selfie.
And a smile too. Like you and your honor student previously did stuff on smiling and how important it is for that connection. So if you're gonna send anything, a nice, really well-groomed, beautiful smile face pic would be much more well
the way to go.
received.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Was there any research conducted around why men think, because obviously a good chunk of them believe that sending an unsolicited dick pic, with the ones with well-meaning intentions, like it will work out for them? Is there a reason why they believe that?
In a proportion.
Okay,
That's true. That's true.
It does.
Yeah. So when we asked our participants in both studies, in our follow-up study, how would you respond to receiving an unsolicited dick pic? What have you done in the past in terms of your response? Most people said things like, I expressed my disgust, I expressed that I felt violated, I expressed that I was angry. A small percentage of people said I, reported them to the authorities. Some people said I poked fun.
Or blocked them online.
Blocked.
Or on your
There
phone.
was a small percentage of people who said, well, I sent dick pics in return. Or not dick pics. Maybe some did. I sent a sexy image in return.
Yeah.
So what this suggests to us, and there is previous research that sort of does back this up, that it only takes one positive response to keep the
dopamine
ball
hit.
rolling,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
That's
right.
true.
It's so the costs of sending one are generally speaking pretty low. You maybe get berated.
Like if you send 20, you're bound to get one.
You're bound to get one.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
So it's a cost benefit ratio analysis that seems to be at work in the minds. I mean, I'm sure nobody's really conscious of that, right? Nobody's going, well, if I send 20, maybe, it's just sort of this underlying cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
And it sort of seems to suggest that, there's not a lot to lose, but you might gain a sexy image in return.
Oh,
So it
and
only
there was a
takes that.
minority that stated that they had sex with the sender.
Yeah, a small minority.
Small minority.
From it.
But
Yeah.
still.
So you see how that's
yeah.
jiving with the reasons, the motives?
That makes sense,
Right? So
yeah.
the people that are sending the unsolicited dick pics are saying, I'm hoping to get a sexy picture in return, or I'm hoping to, this is a normal way of flirting, or I'm hoping to get a relationship. It only takes one hit. It only needs to happen positively one time for you to think, hey, this works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. It does. I do see it. In my mind, I'm thinking of like the men that mean well, they just don't know better.
But like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Maybe
Yeah.
unblock that guy.
No.
Yeah.
I just have so many
And I think part of the problem too is that we've seen some research and Amanda did some research about 10 years ago, that sexting itself is very normative in relationships, and it's healthy, and it helps relationships maintain that element of spiciness and that kind of thing. It's quite normative. And in those contexts, it's okay. And so maybe people are taking it out of those contexts and going, well, if it's okay in these contexts, then it must be okay in all contexts.
Yeah.
But then it's really not, right? It's not okay to airdrop a picture of your dick to someone at the Starbucks.
Yeah.
But it is maybe okay to do that to your long-term partner.
Yeah.
And so context matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what's really cool about what you guys have done without even intending to in the beginning is like now you have this amazing research that people need to know. Like guys need to know it. They want to know it. Girls would love to help teach guys what we actually would prefer to get, or if anyone's struggling with gender identity, like to be able to go to a brand and like partner with them and help them understand or like help educate their, consumers and stuff.
The consumer
I feel like
base.
it's really cool.
Yeah, I know. Kudos to Manscaped on really being ahead of the curve on that. Like
Absolutely.
we didn't know what we were going to find, right? We didn't know. That's how good research works. You have a hypothesis, you have an idea. Sometimes you're wrong, right? I mean, you go into it sort of trying to, see if your hypothesis can be confirmed or whatever. And sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But Manscaped was really on the ball, like really ahead of the curve and the culture, and really they dug deep into what kinds of things are currently happening in the culture, and want to come out on the right side of that. And I want to be clear, by the way, and I think Manscaped does too, we're not saying that sending dick pics is wrong. We're not saying that sending dick pics is bad. It's not. but there's a place for it.
Yeah.
There's a place, there's a time, there's a context under which it is appropriate. And if you're not in that place, time, and context, then you need to get consent.
Yeah. Consent or open up the gate with the face pic.
Yeah.
And just like start
exactly.
that and
Yeah.
then build that trust and build that relationship.
Yeah. And if you can't get the consent, if you don't have the consent,
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
send a
Yeah.
face pic instead.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a question about the 11 body parts that we inquired about.
Yeah.
Do you know the ranking of all of them? Just in case anybody's listening, dick pic is last. Unsolicited dick pic is last. So what are the first 11 or 10?
The first one was face.
Face.
There was eyes, mouth.
Yeah.
And then it depended on whether we were asking whether you were sending or receiving.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
So, because we asked, what would you be most likely to respond positively to if you received it? And then we also asked, what would you think would be most positively responded to if you sent it?
That's
I
right.
see. Okay.
Yeah.
So both ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So face, eyes, mouth were ranked number like 1, 2, 3, like in
Yeah.
that, right? And then it was chest. So it depended on whether
That
it was
was a
sending or
preference, too.
receiving.
That's
Or like
right.
she's like a forearm girl. What if I like biceps or something like that? I could see. Yeah.
So it started to diverge at that point, whether it was you're sending it or you're receiving
Yes.
it. But it was things like chest,
Legs, butt.
yeah, and then butt, and then the genitals
Arms were in
lower
there.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have this study submitted for publication in the Journal of Sex Research. It's being reviewed by them
cool.
for its quality, and it's called a peer review.
Okay.
They make sure it's up to snuff, and if they like it, they'll publish it.
I was actually really intrigued by the Manscaped research, how the number dropped to 25%, because I would think with dating apps only getting more popular since 2019, I assume, right? Dating apps are more popular now than they were before.
Yeah, I feel like especially post 2020, like a lot of
Yeah.
people who never intended to go on have been on.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just kind of questioning how that's possible because in my mind, unsolicited dick pics make the most sense with dating apps. You open up a conversation with someone, maybe you send it, and then you can like unmatch with someone. Was there any sort of research regarding specifically like dating apps or like an influx with anything?
Yeah.
With dating apps?
The number one place that people sent it was via text message though.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was our assumption too, that would be way up the ranking, I guess, when we're looking at where people are sending it. But it was text message was the first one, I believe. Yeah.
And then like Snapchat maybe.
Snapchat was
was in there.
number 5,
Yeah.
the ranking of 5. Snapchat
I do know
was there.
certain dating apps now have more guidelines.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
where you
right.
can't send things.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense.
So I think that's what's going on there. Why? But I also think what's going on there is the reason that the unsolicited sending has gone down in the interim years is that the messaging is becoming more clear.
That's true, too.
Right?
Yeah.
Do not send unsolicited dick pics. Like that message is becoming more clear. I have a funny story for you, but when we first did this study and we were at a conference sitting around having lunch or whatever with my lab members, and the study had just been published, and the original study, and all of a sudden one of my lab mates gets this text message, and it's a dick with a person that she's loosely kind of seeing, but not, they don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh my God, like this just came up like at noon, like it's lunch. And we all were laughing and, what are you going to do about it? And her response, she just attached our article that had just been published and just sent the article back.
How did
No
they
context.
respond?
No
Just-
response,
As she
no
should.
content. And so I think the messaging is getting out there, and I think that people,
That's so funny.
all people are becoming more aware of the importance of consent
Yeah.
in all aspects of romantic and sexual relationships. And I think that's why the numbers dropped.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know that for certain. We haven't done what's called a longitudinal study where you follow the same people over time. But this is a good hypothesis. It's a good guess.
Yeah.
What might
It's
be
something to celebrate regardless.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And like I said, those 25%, those are the double downs, right? They're the ones that are sticking hard to
Yeah.
their guts.
I don't know if they're going to be swayed.
And I don't know that they're the same people, but it seems.
Sticking hard
Yeah.
too.
Oh my!
I'm sure there's puns every day. You guys are finding them every day.
You had to go there.
Of course I did.
Going with your funny story, we do have some listener submissions regarding them getting unsolicited dick pics. So we would love your reactions and maybe any advice or any sort of research that you have that could maybe help our girls out. But are we ready to get into it?
Let's hear it.
Absolutely.
Okay, this one's from Hannah, and it's titled "Coop Got That Dog in Him." Okay. Hi, girls. I never thought I'd be submitting a dick pic story to a podcast, but here I go. Back in February, I was on one of my besties' bachelorette trips, and as one of the token single girls of the group, we decided to be silly and swipe on my Bumble in a new city, of course. I matched with a guy named Cooper, and he immediately was sending fairly sexual messages, so we were drunk, and we were being silly and sending funny responses. Soon he asked me for my Snapchat, and I normally never give that to men, but I was like, for the plot and for entertaining the girls, I must. Naturally, his Snap was at, she said it's pertinent to the story. Okay, his Snapchat was at CoopDog123. Immediately, he's asking me to come over, which of course I say no, and I proceed to receive a video from Cooper on Snapchat. In this video, he is standing to the side in his bathroom mirror, fully clothed. As the video goes, he pulls his pants down, and as his waistband goes lower, his erect dick springs out of his pants.
Oh, man.
Literally, if it had a sound effect, it would have gone boing. We were freaked. It was insane. I was drunk and being funny and felt inspired by his username and responded, "Damn, Coop, you really got that dog in you." We carried on snapping until I was no longer drunk, and no, I did not go over to Coop's house. He is now blocked. Thanks, girls. Hope you read this. Love you lots. XOXO, Hannah.
Hannah.
That's a good bachelorette story.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
That's, wow.
Boing.
Boing.
This one's from Daniela. Oh my God. Hi, girls. Love you both so much. You have inspired and helped me grow so much. So I had been talking to this guy for a year, but then stopped talking to him. Months go on and his birthday comes. He posts a picture on his Instagram story about his birthday. I saw that, and being any other person, I slid up just wishing him a happy birthday. He replies, "Thank you," and sends me a dick pic in return. I didn't even know how to respond. Like, what could you even say to that? LOL. He then messaged me asking if it was too much, but honestly, I didn't know if it was my birthday or his. Ha ha ha. I just replied with, "Hope you had a great day. You deserve it." Very random short story, but like also very awkward and very stuck on even what to say back.
That was honestly
That
a really
goes to the,
sweet
like, what
response.
do you say back?
Yeah.
Response.
Yeah. What do you say back?
There's a lot of different responses.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
and I don't think there's any one
Right
that's
one.
correct
Yeah,
or
yeah.
wrong.
You have the responses have to. We don't want to police this, right?
Yeah.
People have to respond in the way that is best for them and that is most comfortable for them. But what we found in our research study was that some of the responses were things like shaming or making jokes or expressing anger or violation or like we said, reporting to the authorities.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so
So there's no one right way to respond. I mean, educating is important.
Yeah.
So that anybody might take the opportunity to say, that really wasn't what I was looking for here. That's not really appropriate. You know, maybe next time, why don't you send a face pic instead, right? Or why don't you ask for my consent before you send something like that? I'm with my grandma, for fuck's sake. Like, who knows,
My grandma
right?
opened that.
Oh my God. That's funny just to say.
Yeah, I mean, people need to choose a response that's best for them. And we don't know anybody's personal experience and how distressing that might be. And some people might choose to just outright ignore it, like this person seemed to do. Right? Yeah. So we would suggest maybe linking this podcast.
Yes.
Wait, that's good.
Send that in
An
the link.
alternative way, which is to send the selfie of the face and a nice smile. Like, yeah.
Wait, oh my
Can't
God.
go wrong.
Anonymous, please, because my name is too unique and I've told this story way too many times. That, you know what? At least if you get a story out of it. My sophomore year of high school, I received a random Snapchat from my ex. We hadn't talked in about 6 months, and I was very confused to why he even snapped me. When I opened the snap, I was appalled. It was a picture of his dick with my name on it in Sharpie. It was the first dick pic I've ever received, and I wanted to burn my eyes out. He captioned it, "It'll always belong to you." What the fuck? We were literally freshmen when we dated, and we never even got past second base. I did not respond, but I tell that story any chance I get because it's hilarious. I'm 27 now, happily married with a beautiful baby. I have no clue what he's up to. I just hope he hasn't pulled that move on any other girl. But love you both. Congrats on married life, Remy and Cal.
Oh, thank you.
Sharpie? That can't be safe. That can't be like.
Wow.
But like, I just don't. Again,
How does it feel knowing you're the one that got away? Hopefully.
But
Unless he's doing that to every girl.
again, this person thought it was a good idea, you know,
Yeah.
to Sharpie.
So I would say how I would interpret this, if it was me and knowing the research that I know, I would interpret this as it doesn't seem like he was looking for a sexy picture in return. What it seems to me is that this, and it doesn't seem to me like this was a normal way of flirting because it had been quite some time since they'd been together. What this seems to me is that he's trying to make her feel valued. He's trying to make her feel sexy and attractive, which was, you know, some of the items that were endorsed in our study. That sounds like what that is. I mean, again, I don't know his motives, but that's what it sounds like. So, dude, maybe try something else. Like maybe say, just want to let you know that, you know, our time together when we were together was really great. You were really awesome and hot, and I miss having that time with you. How about that? You know?
That's too vulnerable. Why not just send a photo?
Isn't that the
Why
thing?
not just
right?
write on your dick with Sharpie?
It's crazy that that's less vulnerable to some people.
I know, isn't that sad?
We've discussed that before.
Yeah,
We're
we
like,
have. Yeah, that
it's almost this disembodied.
Yeah.
Like the face is more vulnerable. I feel.
Yep, I agree.
Right?
You send a picture of your face and you get rejected. That probably hurts more than you send a picture of your disembodied dick and you get rejected.
That's so
Right.
true.
That's right. So I think it's a lot about.
That vulnerability.
That's right.
Good point.
Yeah.
That is kind of sad.
I feel like that
the
also-
empath in me is just feeling
I
bad for
know.
these people.
Right.
Remy, don't reply.
And I think the element of grooming too. So if they put in effort for their face or their genitals and then they get rejected. So that idea of like, you know, I've put in effort to like spruce things up or make sure I'm erect, make sure I shave around my balls, whatever the case may be, or even the face. Like I've put effort to groom, I put effort into styling my hair, and now I'm rejected.
Yeah, that's probably a knife to the heart.
Yeah,
kind of
and
thing.
I think the face would be a lot more vulnerable.
Because everybody sees that.
That's right.
I know. We were actually talking with a colleague of ours, Dr. Justin Laymiller, about a follow-up study to this. And one of the things we thought about was randomly assigning. So that means flip of a coin. Some people see an image of a dick that's groomed, nicely groomed. And some people see one that's, you know, not. So, I mean, we received one some years ago that was like a dick in a dirty hoodie. There was like food on the hoodie. And, I know, right?
And
so,
an orange colored hoodie.
orange,
So
dirty
the
hoodie.
stains really stood out.
Yeah, and then which of these two would be like? Are they both equally
well
rejected,
received?
or
Yeah,
which one's
yeah.
more well received?
Clearly from my
Yeah.
reaction, I was just like, oh.
Yeah,
That's right.
And I think we could do the same thing with the face, right? So the
Absolutely.
well-groomed face.
So, there's research to suggest about like bearded men too, that women typically find bigger beards, more masculine. So there's so much to unpack here.
Yeah.
And that we could kind of put this
So many
in a
studies.
package.
Yeah, so many studies.
You mentioned like dick size earlier.
Yeah.
What'd you find with that?
Yeah. So here's a really great opportunity to dispel some important myths.
Yeah.
We have one study that we looked at dick size, dick pic size. Only one, but there is a lot of research that has investigated perceptions of dick size. And here's the thing. You know who cares about the size of their dick?
The guy.
The guy.
Men.
Yeah.
Yeah. So largely speaking, women do not care about the size of a penis. In fact, in again, 8 possible characteristics of the penis, it ranks last.
Really?
Yeah.
What are the other characteristics?
The most important characteristic for people is general appearance, right? So is it
grooming?
Yeah, is it well groomed? Is it
Yeah.
clean?
Is the skin blemish free and
Look soft and supple?
Yeah.
Those are the most important characteristics of a penis.
Okay.
right?
Size, so length, girth, they do not matter.
That's right.
And there's lots of reasons for this, but I'll give you an anatomical one. So anatomically speaking, it's only the bottom 1/3 of the vagina that has any nerve endings.
Oh.
The upper 2/3, so the inner 2/3 have no nerve endings. And that's probably evolutionary for childbirth reasons,
Oh
right?
my God. Yeah.
Yep.
Right? So a big penis doesn't matter as far as pleasure goes because it's only the bottom 1/3 that have the nerve
lot of
endings.
the nerve.
Girth matter at all then with
Girth
that?
would be more relevant
Yeah,
to
makes
that,
sense,
right? But
But how it's used is obviously more important.
right.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so who cares about penis size? It's men.
Yeah.
And they need to stop that. And the one study that we did do, we looked at penis-centric masculinity. What that means is it's men who believe their penis is sort of important in their masculinity. It makes them a man to have like a big penis. We actually found that men who have that view of the world, that the penis is all about being a man, score higher on measures of sexism.
Yep.
I fully believe that.
Right? They score lower on, they score higher on measures of narcissism.
Oh, I fully believe that.
And they score lower on things like sexual self-esteem. Yeah. So desiring to have a large penis is not good.
Statistically, you don't want.
You don't want to be that kind of person. And it doesn't matter to women. Women do not care.
I mean, half the time they can't even finish, so.
You want to pleasure
More than half the time.
you want to pleasure your partner. There's other ways. You don't need penetration.
Yeah.
You don't need a large penis for that.
That's right. That's right.
Circumcision, does that fall into any sort of category? Does that do women or anybody care about that, circumcised or not?
No, they don't. Again, and by the way, for the record, circumcision doesn't affect pleasure for men either. Right?
Really?
So no, there's been stuff where, circumcised penises have less pleasure.
Yes, I've heard that.
That's not true. That's a myth. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, that's a myth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, circumcised, uncircumcised, small, big, and it's all part of being human. It's all fine.
So I assume you're going to say that's the same for vaginas.
Massive diversity.
Anytime
right?
I'm like at the gyno, I'm like, is it normal?
It's totally.
Blink twice if it's not normal.
It's totally normal.
And what's interesting too is that the labiaplasty study too. So for women, we were asking men and women pre or post-op labiaplasty, who's more likely to be kind of the ones judging this negatively.
Yeah.
It's women.
What exactly
women
is
are
a
caring
labiaplasty?
about.
All right, so some
Let's get into it.
No. So some years
Context,
ago,
Amanda.
we did a study on people's perceptions of what labia look like. Men and women, people outside the binary, we asked everyone, perceptions of what labia look like. And now labiaplasty is a procedure where plastic surgeons will cut the labia to make it look uniform.
Like the Barbie look.
The Barbie look.
Yeah.
This uniform plumpness, no extra tissue hanging out. It's all like snipped in and confined. You know what I mean here?
Wow.
This sort of pornography look.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we did in our study was we showed participants images of labia pre-surgery and post-surgery. So before the surgery and after the surgery. And we randomized them all, mixed them all up so that nobody knew which went with which. People thought they were all just different labia.
Oh,
They
yeah. There
weren't.
was a surgery.
Yeah.
That's right.
Some of
That's
them were
right.
pre-surgery, some of them were post-surgery. Well,
Same
all
person?
of them. Same person.
Okay.
And this
Yeah.
is strictly just cosmetic, like just for...
Just cosmetics,
That's right.
just
That's
cosmetic.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what we found was that the harshest critics, and we asked about three things. We asked like which of these labia looks most normal on the scale, which is most ideally attractive to you as your personal ideal, and which is more attractive to you sort of as society's ideal. And we expected that men would be harsh critics, and we were wrong.
Yep.
The critics
see
were
that.
the women. Women were, and they criticized the pre-labia and the post-labia.
Really?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
what ways?
They were all not meeting the societal ideal, the ideal of normal, the personal ideal. So the message there, of course, is that there is no way for a women's labia to ever be ideal.
Yeah. I mean, they changed too. I mean,
And that's such a shame to have that view, because again, it discredits, it devalues the importance of diversity of the human body. The human body is incredibly different. We're all different sizes and shapes, and that includes our genitals.
Yeah.
also, this is embarrassing that I'm literally 32 and didn't know this, but I didn't know like after menopause, like it just shrivels. I saw a TikTok and I was like, what? Is that a thing?
What do you mean shrivels? I didn't see
like
this
your
TikTok.
vagina just is like different, like fully
I think
like.
there's lubrication. There can be
Yeah,
lubrication.
primarily, it's lubrication where the problem comes in after
Okay.
menopause. So when estrogen levels drop, it makes it harder for women to become lubricated naturally during
So
sexual
sex can be
activity.
painful.
So sex can become
Okay.
painful.
Yeah.
But I have never seen anything that says it shrivels
Oh my
up
God,
like
I saw a
a
TikTok and it scared me. I was like, is this a thing?
I have not ever.
Okay, well that makes me feel good that I haven't heard it till I
Heard
was
about the
32.
lubrication.
Yeah, the lubrication, yes, but And again, that's not true for everyone. That is a side effect for some women who go through menopause.
That's right.
But
wait, have you seen anything, well, other than the one I just said, anything like on TikTok or something like myths that you're just like, you roll your eyes at?
So many times.
I'm sure.
The dick size stuff.
Yeah.
Oh God, so many times. Yes, the dick size.
Even women perpetuating that kind of, like, mostly it's men, obviously, but there's some women who have, I've seen, like larger matters guys. It's like, no.
Not when you look at the research. I don't want to, we don't want you to believe that it doesn't matter for some people.
That's right.
Of
That's
course,
right.
again, diversity. For some people, it matters. Maybe they want a larger one.
But
It's more aesthetically
generalization to
pleasing.
all women, that's what
wrong.
bothers.
That's bad science. Yeah.
When you're conducting this research, are the number of people that you are researching with different every single time, or is it usually the same amount?
No. It depends on the study, but I mean, we've collected data where we've had thousands of participants.
Yeah.
Upwards of thousands, right? So we had over 1,000 participants in our original dick pic study, in our original Labia study, in our Manscaped study, we had 1,000 participants. Right? So
in the Manscaped study, it was a representative US-based sample, which is, you can make a lot of generalizations from that kind of research.
What that means is that that's the people that we had were selected to be representative of the U.S. population. So we had, like, percentage-wise, the number of men, the number of women, the number of the ages, the geographical regions, representative of the United States.
That's crazy to me. This is all crazy. I'm really gagged about the circumcision of it all. I think that one's something. That's just what you hear all the time. Is that, like, it just takes away sensitivity and everything?
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't impact orgasm or...
Any other, like, orgasm facts?
Yeah, here's one. So, the way
I know you have a million.
It's a good take-home message. So currently we know that there's what we call in the field the orgasm gap. The orgasm gap means that in heterosexual relationships, men are much more likely to achieve and reach orgasm than are women. And this orgasm gap is pretty large. Okay, so it varies, estimates vary, but as many as, only 20% of women are orgasming compared to, say, 90% of men are orgasming. The rates vary depending on the studies and the samples that are used to collect them. But the gap is not disputed. There is this gap. Part of the reason that there's such a gap is because of this myth that penetration is the way to go.
I was going to ask.
And that women orgasm through penetration. Now, indeed, some women do orgasm through penetration, but what research has found is that that's usually for women whose clitoris is a little lower down, closer towards their vaginal entry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
So the rubbing.
Really, most statistics indicate that 75% of women do not orgasm through penetration.
75%?
Yeah. So only 25% do through penetration. And that's probably the big reason that there's this orgasm gap. So orgasm is best achieved through clitoral stimulation. There's lots of ways women can orgasm. They can nipple-gasm.
Stimulation.
Stretching. Women can orgasm through sleep. Men too, though, right?
Sleep.
People with penises too can orgasm through sleep.
During.
During.
Yes, like in a dream or something.
So when there's no actual sensory input, right? And it still happens. There's lots of ways, but the most common way for women to orgasm is through clitoral stimulation.
So what are your thoughts on, like, women faking the O?
Who are you benefiting?
You won't catch me faking it.
Communication is key. And I think, like, being able to, say that to your partner, like, this is what I need to, speed this up, for lack of a better word.
To reach this.
This is what I need. And I think that's sexy too, to have that kind of level of trust and vulnerability and communication, I think is key.
Yeah. But what I also think is important is orgasm's great. Feels great. It's wonderful. It's lovely. But it doesn't have to be the end all and the be all of a sexual encounter. Right? Yeah. All phases of sexual excitement and enjoyment and pleasure are valid. Not just the orgasm.
I feel like the pressure gets off too when you're not just focusing on that, because then you're not like, why is it not happening, versus just enjoying the moment.
That's right.
Exactly.
All kinds of pleasure are valid, whether it's cuddling or kissing, or we don't always have to strive for the big O. It's great, but it doesn't have to be the end all.
So how do we hack every, again, I'm talking about men because that's who I am dating. But, like, how do we hack their phones with facts of, like, 75%, you know what I mean? Like, how do we, because clearly maybe they're starting to, because the percentage was going down a little, but, like, how do we teach them?
Well, the messaging is definitely getting out there. Like you say, that the numbers are going down. I think Manscaped is doing a great job with their product placement and the research that we've done here, because they're endorsing this idea. Send a face pic instead, right? And they've been very clear not to shame dick pics. Sending dick pics has a time and a place and a context. But sending face pics is a great way to go. And of course, they have a lot of women that are part of their consumer base, but largely their consumer base is men. So maybe, getting the message that way. I think getting the message just through this kind of thing, right? Like doing this kind of thing and sharing stuff that you see and read about and hear. I mean, the message has to get out, because this kind of animosity that can evolve from those kinds of unsolicited encounters, nobody needs that. And nobody needs to experience that, and nobody needs to experience the fallout of that. So education is so pivotal.
I love what Manscaped's doing, especially being wanting to hear from women, wanting to hear. It's not just about their products, but I feel like there's so much more opportunity for I'm picturing every TV at the gym. I'm picturing every locker room ever. There's just all these facts and stuff, because it truly is
you can't find statistics. I think that's the thing too.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. You
and
really
if you
can't
put in some time and energy for grooming, if you're going to send a solicited with consent dick pic, it's we know that women, with that research, that it's the grooming and the general appearance and the skin and all of that matters, right? And same thing with the face.
Yeah, they should put your research in every box, Yeah. And then when girls give it to their man, it's
a Snapple lid, a little fun fact. We just put them everywhere.
I love it. What a great
not a card
idea.
game, but something. Because
at the bottom of every beer can, it's just down there at the end. Wait, which one did you get?
I love it.
Are there any other studies that the Orgasm Lab has done that you want to share with us? Anything really piqued an interest with you, or just kind of blew your mind?
Oh gosh, we've done so many. We were talking about that on the ride over here. There's been so many. One that you might be interested in, we're going to be working on some publication of it soon, is a sex toy study.
Ooh,
yeah,
sorry.
we asked.
Let me know.
We asked men, and we asked men about their use of sex toys with female partners. By the way, so let me make that explicit.
Or even how to bring it up. Because you don't want to hurt their ego of you're not doing it for me, I need a toy, but then that being normal and
normalized. Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah. And we found that men who reported using sex toys on their female partners actually had better genital esteem, better sexual esteem.
Really?
Yeah.
And more satisfaction.
And more sexual satisfaction.
Even probably just feeling confident with things that they're I don't know what that,
Totally, right?
Interesting.
We also did one on cunnilingus that was published a few years ago, right? And found the same kind of thing, that men who enjoy giving cunnilingus, going down, are sort of more sexually satisfied. They have lower rates of sexism, hostile and benevolent sexism. They report more satisfaction in their relationships.
Yeah.
That's probably because their partners are happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Even the psychology of them feeling they understand a vagina, making them feel more confident in that. I don't know. I feel I could see that.
Yeah. Kind of knowing the anatomy more.
Yeah. They feel they know what's going on.
I feel they can tell when you fake it. So I'm sure the reassurance of even if you need a toy, even if, whatever it is, you feel better knowing you actually satisfied someone than the unknowing of did she fake it? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Totally agree. Yeah.
That is really interesting.
It's genuine. It's authentic.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, so if you are having sex with someone and then they are oh, they clearly finished, and they're oh, did you finish? How would you tell someone to respond to that if they haven't?
I would just state that that's not the goal here. The goal is, it's great when it happens, but I just want to be intimate with you and enjoy it in other ways.
And you know what? And to be honest, if you're not getting there, just be sorry, hon, it's not going to happen for me right now. I'm in a weird headspace, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we can still cuddle and and another time, right? Like, again, why does that have to be the end game every single time?
I love that.
Like,
and it's not always about your partner or what your partner is doing. Like, we lead very stressful lives. Everyone has a multitude of things going on. Sometimes you have a bad interaction or get cut off in traffic and you can't get over certain things, mental blocks and stuff like that. Or your body isn't in that like relaxed enough to enjoy. It doesn't mean that you can't do the action.
And that doesn't mean it's a sign of your partner's lack of ability or skill.
Obviously, it can
right?
It can. I'm sure people can feel that way.
Yeah,
but I like that approach so much better. I'm sure that happens a lot too, like just with dry spells in general. Like
we said at the beginning today, that there's no right frequency. Right? There's no right amount. One of the things I like to teach my students, because sometimes I talk about, I always lecture on sexual problems and paraphilias, which are disorders of sexuality. And I teach that in my class. But one of the things I always say to my students is, if it's not a problem for you and it's not a problem for your partner, then it's not a problem.
I love that.
Right? Yeah. So, if you only want sex once a month and your partner's totally okay with that, then why is that a disorder? It's not a disorder.
And that just goes to society of like your friends asking or like, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Like if you're okay with it and your partner's okay with it and there's a match there, then it's not a problem. It's only a problem if it's interfering with your partnership or your relationship, or if you're really distressed by it, right? Or then if it's interfering with your ability to function in your work and in your, then it's a problem. Okay? And then maybe you want to consult with someone about that. But there's no right amount of sexual activity, no right frequency for orgasming. There's no right libido to have. Like there's nothing that's established as the right amount. So
remembering that is important too, because sometimes you get into conversations with girlfriends or other people and you talk about these things. As women talk a lot about their sex lives and their relationships.
It's hard not to compare.
It's very hard not to compare. But then you bring that kind of like, well, then why aren't we doing this? It's like, well, did you really care before someone else mentioned it?
I love
or
that.
is that just their expectations and standards and what they're striving for? Is it really an issue for you? Probably not, right? Like,
there's no point in making those comparisons, right? I mean, everybody's individual and every partnership is individual. And you need to do what's right for you and your partner if you're in a partnership. Right? What works for you and your partner works for you and your partner.
You're such a cool mom.
My daughter would not agree.
Oh my God.
No, I think that applies though for sex in a partnership or anything really in a partnership. I have so many girlfriends that are like, oh, well, like you're getting married. Like, should I talking about like not being on the same timeline as like your friends or anything. It's like, as long as you and your partner are on the same page of when you want to be, whether you want to get married or you don't, or when you want kids or if you don't, like, as long as you are on the same page, that's all that matters.
That's right. That's right. And it even extends into things like, duties in the house, housework, a lot of people are, well, my husband will do this. And then the person will go, oh, well, my husband doesn't do this. And now it becomes a problem.
He must not love me.
But if it wasn't a problem for you, if you and your partner have negotiated your responsibilities, then that's okay. That works for you.
I do have a random question because we're talking so much about normalcy and finding I'm sure there's a lot of research done. I'm assuming like when you are thinking about the normal amount of times to have sex, it's like they're conducting research and kind of generalizing the average of it. So do you just kind of like not look at that sort of research, or do you kind of like, does that make any sense, my question about that?
I think like on the average you can say stuff like that, but because there's such variability and people are so different that it's difficult to like do anything with those.
There's a graph that I sometimes show my students in my class, my human sexuality class. It's Canadian data, so it may not be relevant for you, but it shows you differences in sexual frequency by province. So something comparable would be here, differences in sexual activity by state, right? So which state is having more sex than other states? And I put it up for like 2 seconds, this graph, to my students. And then I take it down and I say, I'm taking this down because it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
Right? It doesn't really matter how often other people are doing it and what state's doing it more than other states or what province.
Also,
Who cares?
you're one person
That's
compared to the vast, like, wow, that's so true.
Yeah. So I say, let's not even look at that.
Yeah.
Because frequency of sex and sexual activity varies so much by things like age, health,
relationship
status, employment, like whether
mental
you're
health.
If people have children too.
Whether you have children.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it
They're
varies.
busy. Maybe if there's more going on and where
That's
they live, they're a little
right.
bit busier or something.
Or
Yeah.
if they live with their in-laws or their parents, or if there's sickness in the household, it's like
So much variability. Yeah.
So many things.
Yeah.
Sorry, so many questions. I'm like, last question. For anyone who feels like they're kind of stuck and they want to change things up with their partner or have that conversation, like what would you recommend for them?
Porn.
Okay, now we can't quit. We can't quit on that. We'll talk after.
And I'm not kidding around. There is a lot of research evidence that does suggest that pornography, I'm not saying that porn can't be a problem for individuals.
Yeah.
Okay. But when we're talking about the aggregate, so when we're looking at the large data sets, people who have problems with pornography tend to be people who are experiencing what's called moral incongruence. In other words, they have a set of values, and watching pornography doesn't jive with that values, and so then they feel guilt, and then they feel shame, and then they feel, right? So if you don't have moral incongruence, tends not to be a problem. The research is also pretty clear that when couples use pornography, looking at you, girl. When couples use pornography in their relationships, it can be a really excellent way to boost your intimacy, introduce novelty to your relationship, increase your opportunities to communicate about sexual things. Like, oh, I like that. Do not like.
Yeah.
Watching it together where you get turned on together, where you can go, don't like that. Don't ever do that. Experimenting with, hey, let's try that.
Yeah.
Porn.
Interesting.
and sex toys
And
now.
sex toys.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
Bring
love
it
that
all
answer.
in. Yeah. Bring it all in.
Wow. I mean, one of us is married, one of us is very single. I feel like we both got so much out of this episode.
I'm so glad.
I'm not kidding. I want to keep talking for another 2 hours. Like, there's so much this knowledge you guys have that I feel like the world needs to hear. So I love that you came on. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much for having us.
Thank
Yeah.
Right? Very exciting for
Thank
us.
you for all your research too. I feel like
Yeah.
it's so helpful for not only us, but our listeners and so many people out there. So we'll leave all the research, of course, linked down below. And feel free to send this podcast to maybe your situationship.
Or even your partner,
Or your partner. I'm going to listen to this with Cal for sure.
Send it to
I
your
learned
crush.
so much. Yeah.
So glad.
Unsolicitedly just send this link to a bunch of people. That's
not illegal. Let me know if it works out for you.
Yeah, let us know. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you
Thank
so much
Cory.
for
Thank you,
having us.
Amanda.
We had so much fun.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys next week with another episode. We love you guys so much. And bye.
Mwah.